Hello, this is another video from me. This one's going to be a little bit different. Instead of reading a book, I'm going to talk about a couple of records I've been listening to. As I'm sure you could tell from behind me, if you didn't know, I do collect vinyl. I reconnected with vinyl a few years ago, back when I was still living down south. And not long after I moved up here, I decided to not just rebuy things that I had, owned in the past or things parallel in that time frame, and say things from the 90s that had not been available in vinyl until recently, but also uh, make an effort to connect to what's going on currently with music. Obviously, when I say currently, I'm using that as slightly broad. Let's say the last decade, uh, for it to kind of filter down to me. Um, Mixed with I know things like electronic dance music is really big with the kids. I could take it or leave it. It just all sounds like video game shit to me. But enjoy. Here come the cyborgs. Great. Uh, but what I was finding was, especially when I would use streaming services, during my commute, which as much as I love vinyl, it's not a horribly practical format for listening to on the bus, unless I want to have a turntable on my lap. So I use, like everybody else, I do use streaming services when I'm on the go, and I started to discover a lot of music that currentish music that is, I feel like an evolution of music that I had been listening to in my youth, say the 90s, and going back to stuff from the 60s and 70s. There's this resurgence of psych and resurgence of shoegaze and dream pop, and I would be able to kind of go down this hole of here's this one artist, and it would there's a similar artist, and it would be somebody new that I had not heard of. So I started to tentatively explore current music, and was finding some really neat stuff. And one band, the band I want to talk about today, because although I've been listening to them for a good year on streaming, I finally was able to get copies of two of their albums on vinyl, which I'm really excited about. Uh, there's two. The band is called Fire Friend. I got two albums here, which I'll go in a little more detail. But there's what is their first album, which is called Witch Tales, and their most recent album, which is called Avalanche. They are essentially a trio. There's a lot of guest musicians, but they are a trio out of Sao Paulo, Brazil, which is a country in South America. Don't be scared. They do actually sing in English. I'd be perfectly fine if they sang in Portuguese. I don't care. There's actually a lot of music I enjoy that's not sung in English. I'm not, a Trump supporter. But if that is an issue, know that they do sing in English, so you won't have to worry about that barrier. Uh, and it's really really neat. They I guess would comfortably be on the obscure side, because when I've called record stores, they act like I'm pranking them. They'll look it up. They won't find it. They won't find they can't find the label. It's just really been a pain in the ass. And their label slash distributor in the states, what is it, Little Cloud Records. Um, uh, they This one, when it came out, there were only 50. The first pressing, I think it was. They said there were 50 there were 50 copies, and they had 25, and the other 25 were sent to stores, and those went out. So this is actually a second pressing of the most recent album, which again, according to the website, only 25 in the States. So they may be out of it already in the short time since it's become available. Uh, so this is a really neat band. They undeniably wear their influences on their sleeves. If you go to their website, the first bands they mention are the Velvet Underground. There's definitely a Kale era Velvet Underground feel to it. There's also a lot of Sonic Youth here. There's a lot of Jesus, Mary Chain, Jesus and the Mary Chain, and other shoegaze bands from the late '80s. Uh, Earlier Psych as well, especially the first one, Witch Tales, which is from 2013. So this is a 7-year-old album. More experimental, more sort of aggressive elements of noise bands. Um, there's a lot more guest musicians on this one, but it still does include the 3 core ones. Um, I really liked this. The vinyl's kind of cool. It's a nice. I don't know if you can see that. It's a nice for people who like colored records. It's a nice red. You could never go wrong with that. Um, if you like pretty records. Um, but yeah, I definitely this one was fun. I do of the two, I prefer this Avalanche. They've done a good 4 or 5 records in that 7-year period with EPs and stuff mixed in, and this is a little more evolved. I think might be a good word. Uh, Again, the vinyl is colored. The one that's playing right now, which is the first of the 2 albums that come in this, is pinkish, and the other one is a bluish, like a powder blue. Um, so it's sort of like the color motif of the actual album cover. Um, it's cool. It's if you like head music, definitely more pure shoegaze than dream pop. I don't think I'd really call it dream pop. It's a little darker. Um, but if you are looking for a fun, interesting, different, again, like I said, it's roots show, but it's still different enough. It does sound contemporary. It doesn't just sound like a bunch of kids playing 20, 30, 40-year-old music. It sounds, you're aware you're listening to 21st century, but at the same time, it's an evolution from that earlier period. Um, this one, as I said, is on Little Cloud Records. Technically, I think this has no label. I think this was self-released. Yeah, there is no actual. It just has no label. Um, so yeah, this was a self-released album, presumably down in Brazil originally. But I know they still have that through the website. And again, even if you don't need this on vinyl. That's just a me thing. I like vinyl because I feel like it forces an attention that other mediums don't. Other formats don't force you to sit here and face your stereo and connect with the music in that way, which is to me the selling point. More than the sound, yes, it is a slightly warmer sound, and all of that. But honestly, I still believe a lot of the vinyl sounds better is more because you're listening to it through mid to high end equipment versus your laptop. I mean, it's going to sound like anything's going to sound like shit on your laptop and sound great coming through your, $400 speakers. Um, but anyway, yeah, check them out. The band's name is Fire Friend. I know Spotify has it. I know Amazon Prime has it. I'm assuming Pandora. I don't use the Pandora, but and there's the other one, Tidal. I'm sure Tidal has it too. They all have the same shit. But yeah, check it out. There's some cool videos on the YouTubes. And they have a Facebook page, of course. And if you are interested in getting some, they also obviously have CDs still. Check out the Little Cloud Records site. I went to Little Cloud specifically because I wanted to circumnavigate Amazon Prime and sort of the limited options as far as record buying right now. Um, because uh, you know smaller businesses are of course struggling. Small record stores are struggling. Um, so, anywho, check it out. Band's name is Fire Friend. Avalanche from 2019 and Witch Tales from 2013. Two very cool records. Um, Cumulatively 30, 15 with shipping, 50 for the whole bag. But you know what? It's not like I'm going out anywhere. So that's that. Sorry, my hair looks like hell. My colic, I have a colic, and it seems ridiculous to put product in my hair when no one is looking at me and I'm sitting here in my apartment alone. Take care of yourselves. I hope you're filling your lives with something enjoyable and yada yada. Bye.